Valentine's Day is around the corner, and with it comes some pretty interesting stories, statistics, and for many of us, questions of love and self-worth. Before we look at the definition of self-worth and how to better love ourselves, let's take a look at a few interesting stories regarding Valentine's Day. Every single year, thousands of people send letters to Verona, Italy, the city where Shakespeare's legendary tale of Romeo and Juliet takes place. The letters are addressed to Juliet, and they are all answered by a team of volunteers from the Juliet Club. Each year, the most beautiful letter is awarded the Cara Giulietta, which in English means Dear Juliet. I personally had no idea this happened, and it is pretty amazing how much of an impact Shakespeare's play has had on our society. Most of us have heard of the saying, "You wear your heart on your sleeve." But did you know that historians believe the saying stems from an old Middle-aged tradition? Men would wear the names of their partner on their actual sleeve during the Roman festival of Juno. Nowadays, an X means a kiss when we are texting, and this also has its roots in the Middle Ages. When a person would sign off on a document, they would write an X and then they would kiss the X as a sign of their oath. The gesture continued to grow in society, and it was soon known as being sealed with a kiss. And for a very interesting statistic, nowadays Americans will spend around $277 million on Valentine's Day cards every year, being second only to the Christmas season. Those are all interesting stories and statistics, and independently of what you might think of Valentine's Day, it without a doubt has impacted our society. It has created certain expectations for what February the 14th should look like every year, but if we are all being honest, life just isn't a romantic comedy. Loving yourself and knowing your self-worth, regardless of whether you are single or in a relationship, is extremely important. Let's start with accepting that life will have ups and downs. There will be good times and there will definitely be bad times. Loving ourselves will not change that, but it can completely transform how we react to each situation. According to Psychology Today, the first step we want to take is to accept the present and understand what we think, feel, and want. Psychology Today emphasizes that people who have self-love are mindful of who they are and act on this knowledge rather than on what others want for them. This leads us to a second and extremely important aspect of loving ourselves well, and that is knowing when to choose what we need over what we want. This is something that surely many of us can relate to. There are times in life when we choose solely what we want, even without considering the consequences. Loving ourselves gives us the power to choose what is right and needed over what feels good and is exciting. This is not to say that choosing what we want is always bad. It most definitely isn't, but it is really important to have the self-love to say no or yes in the right moments. Next is something I have personally struggled with. I tend to be extremely hard on myself, but it is important to accept that we are all human and not perfect. There is a lot of self-love in being compassionate and graceful with ourselves. We learn from our mistakes, we improve, and we move on. Better loving ourselves means taking responsibility for our thoughts and actions, understanding that there's only so much we can control in this life, knowing life will have ups and downs, and that it is up to us to choose how we react, seeking purpose and making the decisions to succeed in that purpose, taking care of our bodies and health, and learning to be compassionate with ourselves so we can get up the next day and continue to move forward. Regardless of who you are, your life is valuable, your life has purpose, and you have every right to be happy. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you're notified every time we post a new video. I will see all of you next Friday. Peace.